Imagine a world where apartheid in South Africa ended peacefully in the 1960s. What would that world look like? To fully appreciate this hypothetical scenario, let's take a moment to remember the actual history. South Africa in the mid-20th century was a country deeply divided along racial lines. Apartheid, a system of institutionalized racial segregation, was in full swing, creating a society where the color of one's skin determined everything from where you could live to the jobs you could have, to the people you could marry. This was an era marked by struggle and resistance. People of color, particularly the black majority, fought tirelessly for equality, demanding an end to the draconian laws that kept them marginalized. The African National Congress, led by figures such as Nelson Mandela, became a symbol of this resistance, orchestrating protests, strikes, and acts of civil disobedience. However, the fight against apartheid was far from peaceful. The government responded to these protests with force, leading to violence, bloodshed, and loss. Iconic events such as the Sharpeville Massacre, where 69 protesters were killed by police, and the Soweto Uprising, where students protesting against Africans being used as a medium of instruction in schools were met with bullets, left indelible scars on the nation's psyche. Now, let's shift gears and envision a different scenario. What if, instead of escalating violence and repression, the 1960s saw the peaceful dismantling of apartheid? Imagine a South Africa where peaceful dialogue and negotiations led to the early end of racial segregation. A nation where black, white, colored, and Indian South Africans could coexist harmoniously decades before this became a reality. This is not just an exercise in wishful thinking, it's an exploration of how history could have taken a different turn, leading to a South Africa that embraced multiculturalism and unity much sooner. In this alternate world, instead of being a symbol of racial division and conflict, South Africa in the 1960s becomes a beacon of hope, an example to the world of how peaceful transition from oppressive systems is possible. In this alternate history, South Africa would have been a beacon of unity and harmony much earlier. A peaceful end to apartheid in the 1960s could have changed South Africa drastically. Imagine, if you will, an alternate history where South Africa's political landscape was transformed peacefully and harmoniously during the 1960s. This seismic shift could have potentially catapulted the nation into a new era of prosperity, unity, and social harmony. Firstly, let's consider the economy. A peaceful transition could have encouraged foreign investment, boosting the economy and creating job opportunities. With the black majority no longer shackled by oppressive policies, they would have been free to participate fully in the economic life of the nation. This could have led to a more equitable distribution of wealth, reducing the vast economic disparities we see today. Moving on to politics, the early end of apartheid could have ushered in a truly democratic South Africa much sooner. The black majority, now with voting rights, could have influenced the nation's trajectory, shaping policies that cater to the needs of all its citizens. This inclusive democracy could have also fostered a sense of national unity, healing the deep social divides. Now, let's take a moment to reflect on the social fabric of South Africa. A peaceful end to apartheid would have meant a quicker dismantling of racial segregation, promoting social integration and mutual respect amongst different racial groups. This could have paved the way for a harmonious multicultural society where individuals are judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. A significant impact would have been seen in the field of education as well. With equal access to quality education, the black majority could have seized opportunities to uplift themselves and their communities. This could have resulted in a more educated workforce, driving innovation and economic growth. In this alternate reality, South Africa could have been a beacon of hope in the global fight against racism. The peaceful dissolution of apartheid could have set a powerful precedent for other nations grappling with racial inequality and discrimination. South Africa could have emerged as a vibrant, multicultural nation, setting an example for the world. The ripple effects of a peaceful end to apartheid would have been felt far beyond South Africa's borders. Imagine a world where the peaceful dissolution of apartheid in the 1960s South Africa sets a powerful precedent. A world where the struggle against racial discrimination takes a transformative turn, inspired by South Africa's harmonious multiculturalism. In this alternate reality, the civil rights movement in the United States, which was at its height during the 1960s, might have found a renewed impetus. A world where the struggle against racial discrimination takes a transformative turn, inspired by South Africa's harmonious multiculturalism. Instead of the violent confrontations that marked much of America's fight for equality, perhaps peaceful protests and negotiations might have become the norm, changing the course of history and sparing countless lives. Across the Atlantic, Europe, grappling with its own issues of racial discrimination, might have taken heed. The UK, France, Germany, and other nations might have been influenced to confront their own racial biases more openly and proactively. The peaceful end of apartheid might have sparked a massive shift in attitudes, leading to more inclusive societies. In the East, countries like India, still grappling with the vestiges of colonialism and the caste system, might have also been inspired. The peaceful end of apartheid could have sparked a wave of introspection, leading to more robust anti-discrimination laws and a stronger commitment to racial and social equality. And let's not forget the countries in the throes of decolonization during the 1960s. Countries like Algeria, Mozambique, and Angola, embroiled in bloody wars of independence, might have found a non-violent blueprint in South Africa's peaceful transition. The ripple effects of this hypothetical peaceful end to apartheid could have been profound, shaping the global fight against racism and discrimination. And while this is but a speculative scenario, it serves as a reminder of the power of peaceful resistance and dialogue in the face of inequality and injustice. The world might have been inspired to follow South Africa's lead in promoting racial harmony. But the apartheid did not end peacefully in the 1960s. The struggle was long and bloody. It took more than 3 decades of intense struggle, marked by violence, political maneuvering, and international pressure, to finally dismantle the apartheid system in South Africa. This was a time of great upheaval, with the black majority and their allies fighting against the oppressive policies of racial segregation and inequality. The flames of resistance were fanned by the relentless spirit of the oppressed, and their voices echoed across the globe, demanding justice and equality. One such voice that resonated above others was that of Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela, a beacon of hope and resilience, became the face of the anti-apartheid movement. Arrested in the early 1960s and sentenced to life imprisonment, Mandela spent 27 years in prison, most of them in the notorious Robben Island. Despite his confinement, his spirit remained unbroken. His steadfast commitment to the cause of equality and his unwavering belief in the power of unity inspired millions across the world. Mandela's release in 1990 marked a significant turning point in South Africa's history. It signaled the beginning of the end of the apartheid era, and ushered in a new era of negotiation and reconciliation. Mandela, along with other key figures like Archbishop Desmond Tutu, played a pivotal role in these negotiations, advocating for a peaceful transition to a democratic South Africa. In 1994, South Africa held its first democratic elections, with Nelson Mandela being elected as the country's first black president. This was a monumental victory, a testament to the power of resistance and the indomitable spirit of those who fought against apartheid. However, the road to this victory was marred by immense suffering and sacrifice. Thousands lost their lives, families were torn apart, and an entire generation was marked by the scars of a brutal system of racial segregation. The end of apartheid was a victory, but it came at a high cost. The reality we know is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a reminder of the lengths we are willing to go to in our pursuit of equality and justice. While this alternate history is only hypothetical, it offers valuable lessons. Let's take a moment to consider the profound implications of a peaceful resolution to conflicts. Imagine if the world had seen an end to apartheid in the 1960s, not through violence and discord, but through dialogue and mutual understanding. This vision of history underscores the incredible power of peace. It's a testament to the fact that change does not have to be violent to be impactful. It can be achieved through unity, understanding, and respect for human dignity. In this alternate timeline, we see the value of unity and diversity. South Africa, as a multicultural nation thriving in harmony, serves as a beacon of hope, demonstrating that diversity is not a threat but a strength. Different cultures, races, and beliefs can coexist, enriching society and fostering progress. This is a lesson we can carry forward, promoting unity and diversity in our own communities and across the globe. And what about the ongoing fight against racism? This alternate history underscores the importance of continued efforts towards equality. Even in a world where apartheid ended peacefully in the 1960s, the battle against racism would not have been entirely won. Racism is a deeply ingrained issue, and it requires persistent, relentless efforts to eradicate. This hypothetical history also reminds us of the power of influence. A peaceful end to apartheid in South Africa could have set a precedent, inspiring other nations to follow suit. The fight against racism is a global struggle, and every victory, every step forward has the potential to spark change around the world. The peaceful end of apartheid in the 1960s remains a dream, but it's a dream that can inspire us to build a better, more inclusive future. Let this alternate history not be a mere flight of fancy, but a call to action. It's a reminder of the world that could have been, and the world that can still be, if we commit to the ideals of peace, unity, and equality.